I dance, make it hurt.
Shalom. I'm happy to announce this is a physical copy of Sepher Yirah B. It is, of course, a beta copy, and its publication will be soon. However, I'd like to show you guys a glimpse. And for this video, it'll be a little different than my other videos, as I'm actually going to share a video that someone else made. That is Sepher. She read a portion of Sepher Yirah A, and I'd like to share that video here. And also encourage you guys to go check her channel out. I'll leave links to all of that down below. With that being said, here's her video.
Hello, this is Sepher Rose. I want to always do the Shema before I do readings like that, but this is part 2 of Sepher Yirah A, where I will be reading out loud. So please, just for a moment before we get started, take a deep breath, hold it for 5 seconds, and release. And do this as many times as you need to until you gather yourself. Make sure that there's no distractions around you. There's nothing that can take you away from the work. Now, may we begin. And before we get started, I would like to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting this series and everyone who has subscribed so that they can hear the truth and the beauty that is the Word. I hope that this auditory of me reading Sepher Yirah out loud helps guide people and bring them to where they need to be. And if my voice can be of guidance, then I am glad to do so. If you would like to support my teacher, and if you would like to help donate towards his book, you can go to Cash App, which is an app in Google Play, and you can download it and donate to $rosetato, ROSETATO. That is all one word. And these will be used to help publish books in the future. With that being said, let us begin. Second of the 7 double letters, Beit, house. In Hebrew, we see this in the word Beit, which means house. In English, this is seen in the words bag, book, boss, blessing, bank, and countless others. We will now examine its principle in depth. The letter B cannot be pronounced without the mouth and the throat. Similarly, and being mem and aleph, were blended together and produced the second of the 7 double letters, Beit. Know you not, your body is the house of the Lord. B. Pay attention to the emphasis on the letter B when you hear, know ye not, your body is the house of the Lord. Aleph blended with mem and created Beit. The principle states air houses water. This can be seen by the clouds in the sky, which are air that houses water. Similarly, this is demonstrated in the word breath, as the letter B signifies to us that breath is air that houses water. Indeed, this will be true with all that breathe. Similarly, we can see this principle in words such as boiling, by which water houses air, is converted into air that houses water. This principle is also reversed in that water also houses air. This is clearly seen when we analyze the water and realize its chemical composition is H2O. Thus, the water houses air. We see this utilized by fish, as will later be demonstrated by the letter nun. In English, we can see this in words such as bubble, where we see water housing air, and similarly, submarine. Thus, the letter B has these principles, and it is demonstrated in words such as baby housed in water, bathe in water, body is primarily water, baptize in water, bottle, etc., etc. The third of the 7 double letters, Gimel. In English, this is the letter G, and it denotes to progress. It cannot be pronounced but by the tongue, as it was bound with shin and placed to that side. In Hebrew, we see this in the word for camel. as there were a mode of transportation. In English, we see this in words as go, going, game, gas, gasoline, etc. The letters shin and aleph blended and created the letter gimel. Similarly, we see that air progresses fire. In English, we see this principle in words such as grow, by which air and light are needed to progress. We see its principle with aleph in words like gas. We will find in every environment there will be a direct interaction between light, shin, and air, aleph. Furthermore, they will be necessary to the progression of all gimel. Fire progressed by air. This principle is clearly seen when we analyze the word glow, which is light, shin, progressed, gimel, in the atmosphere, aleph. It is also seen in the word gasoline, by which fire, shin, is progressed into aleph, air. Thus we will find that fire consumes the air, and similarly, we learn that the atmosphere, aleph, is absorbed by shin, as it is with our atmosphere and heat. The fourth of the 7 double letters, kof, in English, this is the letter C, and it denotes carry. Similarly, we will see this in words such as cup, which denotes to carry to the mouth. It is also seen in words such as carry, clap, etc. The sound of this letter, kof, like G, cannot be pronounced without the tongue, gimel, as it was bound and placed to that side. We will analyze its principle in depth. The principle we see is that light, shin, will be a covering kof upon solids, mem. We see this clearly in the word color, which is light covered upon solids. We also see this in the word camera, which captures light upon solid. Clothes, which acts as a covering for the light. Crayon, by which one colors light upon solids. In all of existence, we can see that light will cover solids. In every corner of the universe, we will see each of these principles. Covering of fire upon solids. We see this principle in Hebrew in the word kohen, by which offers burnt offering as denoted by the letter C. Similarly, in English, we see this principle in the word cook, as this implies fire upon solids. Candle, which implies a covering of fire upon solids. Coal, which implies a fire is covered upon solids as a flame is to a coal. The fifth double letter, fe, mouth, throat. In Hebrew, we find this letter expressed in the word mouth. In English, this is the letter P and F. This is clearly seen in the word cup, carry, unite, P, mouth. Similarly, we see in the word pie, pot, people, social interaction via the mouth. We will now analyze this principle more in depth. Principle of the mouth. The letter mem blended to create fe. As such, the letter P and F cannot be pronounced without the use of the mouth, mem. Similarly, every mouth in existence will be in core function designed to take solids and liquids. Air will be included. This also states that from the mouth, fe, to the throat, fe, solids, mem, and liquids, mem. We can see this clearly in words like food, fear. F identifies it is within us, fun, failure. Principle, fe, liquids, and solids will be together in the mouth. And it will be for every creature in existence. Similarly, we see this in words like pipe, by which it has 2 mouths, P, from which a pipe is placed in the earth, under the water, or suspended in the air, and takes within it these very same elements, liquids, solids, and air. Cup now identifies liquids or solids carried to the mouth. 6th letter of the 7 double letters, form, R. In English, this is the letter R. And all these principles were gathered into every form. Similarly, resh, we see this in the word form. In English, this word is seen in words such as form, write, wrote, ring. We will now examine this principle more in depth. This principle states that every formation in existence will be created as a reflection of the principles, and that each form will contain in the essence and reflected nature of its substance the order of these things. It has been explained that each of these principles will be both the substance of and reflection of these principles. As such, form in the universe will reflect the order of the word. In all corners of the universe, it will be this way, as with all things alive and inanimate. As it is written, the universe is filled with his glory. The 7th of the 7 double letters, path without walls. In English, this is the letter D. In Hebrew, we see this in words like door. This one letter, having no boundary, was so infinite, it was confused for God in the olden times, called deus, from which we have words like deity and day. This principle shows that all of these aforementioned principles are expanded infinitely, and as stated, everything will be both the substance of and reflection of these principles. The principle. As stated, addition to every form being a reflection of the principles, it will be addition every environment. This is because these principles expanded infinitely in all directions. It has been stated everything will be both the substance of and the reflection of these principles. In English, a path without walls can be seen clearly in words like door, which is a path without walls, D, bound from one side to another form. Section 3. 12 elemental letters. We have explained the 3 mother letters. We now understand the 7 double letters. Let us explain the 12 elemental letters. And know that each of these 12 letters are 3 parts of each mother letter. Similarly, we will find 3 to each, making 12. For this reason, they are called elemental, and they are reflective principles of the aforementioned element. We will now analyze them in depth. We will first analyze the 3 letters associated to Shin. The 3 letters are Ayin, Yod, Lamed, and it is important to understand the method by which one extracts the secret of the elementals. As we saw with the 7 double letters, their principles were concealed within the mother letters that surrounded them, and by the blendings of their interactions. Similarly here, we will find the principle concealed within the double or mother letters adjacent to it, as will be demonstrated. Now let us analyze more in depth. The first of the 12 elemental letters, L, staff. In English, this is the letter L. In Hebrew, we see this in the word staff. This is clearly seen in English in words such as leader, lord, length, long. All of these words have association with measurement and progression. The principle of this letter is found in the letter Gimel. See this in the letter Gimel. It was understood this was a result of fire and air interacting. As such, we find this principle contained in words such as light, by which it is a reflection of this. Listen, loud, lightning, lighten, learn, lantern. The principle states that there will be polarity in the spectrum of energy's progression. It states that these vibrations will vary degree by degree and reflect as such. Principle, energy, and vibration. The second of the 12 elemental letters, Yud, spirit. In English, this is the letter I, Y, and J. Similarly, we see this in the Hebrew word for life. In English, we see this principle expressed in words such as spirit, immortal, might, etc., etc. If in the instance of I, it refers to singular, individual. If in the instance of Y, it refers to outer, you, yours. And in the instance of J, it refers to expressive, such as joke and judge. The principle here is the letter Shin. Thus we see that fire takes the form of Yud. This principle states that the spirit of all living things comes from the side of fire, energy, and thus all things in existence will be sustained by energy. We see the letter Shin with 3 different Yods in this secret, I, Y, J, and these are the instances of singular outer expressive. These principles will be in every spirit. The principle. Everything in existence that has eyes will see only a covering of light upon solids. Every eye will be designed for this function. In English, we see this in words such as see and eye. With the letter O, we see this in the instance of ocular, optic. The 3 letters of Aleph, He, Chet, Samek. In English, these letters are S, C, H, and H. In a similar fashion, we will exact the inner principles by analyzing their relation to double and mother letters. It is important to note that these principles existed before even the letters themselves, that these letters are but a vessel which reflect the order of its inner essence. The fourth of the 12 elemental letters, Samek, cycle. In English, this is the letter S. In Hebrew, we see this in words, Samek. This principle is found in the double letter Gimel. As a result of the air's interaction with the fire, the cycles which would be the measurement of progression established itself. Principle. The measurement of progression creates cycles. Examples of this can be clearly seen in words like seasons and cycles. In existence, we find this principle manifesting in the various alterations of progression. This was the secret of Ouroboros, the serpent which ate its own tail. All beginnings will end, and all endings will begin. Fifth of the 12 elementals, He, behold. In English, this is the letter H. In Hebrew, we see this in the word behold. In English, we see this in the words such as help, holler, etc. We find this principle of the elemental letter is found in the mother letter Aleph. Thus we will find examples of this letter's association with aleph. Principle, divinity. We will see examples of this in words such as holy, Helios, Hermes, Hades, Hathor, etc. Example of this word's association with aleph. Height, by which is a measurement in space. Heaven, by which is an expanse. Helium, by which is an atmospheric substance. Hydrogen, which is an atmospheric substance, etc. The sixth letter of 12 elemental letters, ket, fence. In Hebrew, this is seen in the word teach. In English, this is ch. We see this in English in the following examples: channel, choose, check, etc., etc. We find its principle in the double letter bait. Principle, length/height. From the double letter bait, we find the principle of length and height. In English, this is demonstrated in the words chain, a measurement of length, cheek, length of the face, chin, longitude of the face. The three letters of mem. These letters are nun, vav, kof. Each of these letters contain aspects of the mother letter, mem. In English, they are the letters N-O-K. We will now analyze these principles in depth. The seventh of the 12 elemental letters, nun, sol, fish. In Hebrew, we see this as fish. In Hebrew, we see this as sol. In English, this is the letter N. We see this in words such as navy and sea, nigiri, tuna, which both imply fish, Noel, sol, aleph, lamed. The principle, fish will utilize air houses water. We can see this principle reflected in every fish, from which all of these will be gathered into the water, by which they will utilize the aleph, air, housed, bait in the water, mem. In Japanese, the word nigiri equals fish. In English, the word tuna equals fish. In the word salmon, it equals fish, as N denotes fish and soul. Eighth of the 12 elemental letters, vav. In English, this is the letters V, O, U, W. In Hebrew, we see this in the word vav, vav, nail. In English, this is split into 4 letters, each covering a different aspect of the nail. We will now utilize this more in depth. Principle, bindings. Tip of nail, directed intent. We can see this in words such as love, violence, vengeance, vigor. O, top of the nail. We can see this in words such as door, bind a form from one side of the path without walls onto the other. U, binding between the nail. We can see this in words such as unite, union, etc. W is many bindings. We can see this in words such as world, water, woman, etc. The ninth of the 12 elemental letters, kof, skull. In Hebrew, we see this in the word holy, which a person is anointed upon the head. In English, this is the letter K. We find its principle in the double letter fe, and its secret is that every mouth in existence will be located in the skull of its respective life form. We will now analyze this principle more in depth. The principle. Every skull will contain a mouth, fe, that will take in solids, air, and liquids, and eyes, ayin, that will see a covering of light upon solids. Every life form in existence will reflect this order both in the past, dinosaurs, and more, and in all directions of the universe. We can now see this principle readily reflected in the environment around us. We will touch upon this point of recognizing the adornments of the truth in a later section. Final 3 elemental letters. The 3 elemental letters of mem. In English, these are the letters T, TZ, and Z. We will now analyze these principles in depth. The 10th of 12 elemental letters, snake. In Hebrew, this is seen in the word satan, which was described as a snake. In English, this is the letter T. It can be seen in words such as serpent, which identifies a snake. We will now analyze this principle. The principle, informational exchange. We see the serpent is in the mystery of the mouth. Similarly, we find this principle of informational exchange in these examples: technology, study, teach, student, teacher, etc. We learn from this that communication will be utilized by the mouth, and its purpose will be in the conveying of information. The 11th of 12 elemental letters, pillar. In Hebrew, this is seen in the word form. In English, this is the letter TZ. The principle for the letter is found in the mother letter, mem. This is the secret of what is written, the pillars of the earth. The principal pillars. We can see this principle in English, such as tiger, which is striped, a zebra, which is striped, a zoo that has bars, a tower is a pillar linear construct, and a tree is a pillar linear construct. The 12th of 12 elemental letters, weapon. This is seen in the Hebrew word weapon. In English, this is the letter Z. Its principle comes from the double letter Kof, the fire which blends with the earth and creates weapons. We will now analyze this principle in depth. Principle, destruction/repurposing. We can see this in English words. Zombie, which destroys. Zika virus, lethality. Berserker, weapon. In all parts of the universe, thus we will find that fire forges earth in its interaction, and we will thus find destruction and repurposing of. Thus we have established the secret of Aleph Mem Tav. This being the secret of Aleph Tav, 22 letters plus Mem, and the secret of the cross, Tav Vav. Having established this, we see principles in every corner of the universe beyond time and beyond space. As such, we're pre-existent. On an elemental level, this would be solids, liquids, and gases. As we stated earlier, the substance of and reflection of all will be in the order of the principles. We now have understood and explained these principles sufficiently to explain an even greater secret. In this next section, we will be explaining the secret origin of creation as preserved by our sages, and the secret of the apex of Lurianic Kabbalah, the secret of the Zohar finally being revealed in this generation. Blessed are we to have permitted such things in such a time at the heels of the Mashiach. And the 22 letters, in addition to being numerical, were the very image of the Sephiroth, this being 11 fronts and 11 backs of the tree. The head was created from fire. The belly was created from water, Etzkaim. It is important to note here that in addition to the light being divided by the principles, the very tree itself was created in its image. As it was stated in Etzkaim, the head was created from fire. And it is known that Shin has 3 points, that are the Sephiroth, Kether, Hokmah, and Bina called head. This is sufficient. Similarly, Mem was called the belly for the same reason. Understand, the sage whispered that before existence was principle. So now that we are done with part 2, the next section will be on the Gate of the Kings. All of this is very lofty, so if you have to, you can repeat this read aloud, of course, so that you can understand it. And again, I don't expect you guys to understand it all in one go, but that's why it's important to take notes, if you can, to write down this information so that you can engrave it on your spirit. I've never been more happier to be able to read aloud to you guys. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned tomorrow, because I'm going to have part 3 coming for you. Shalom and Laila Tov.